Leko has analysed this before and he created a new term in the commentary. He called this the phantom variation. This is a line in which you have analysed many years ago, but you are not sure if you'll ever see it on the chessboard. Really cool term, because phantom means ghost, and will you actually ever see it materialize? You've analysed many variations over the course of your chess career, and Leko coined this term. If you've heard of this term, then leave a comment below. And now b4, look at this. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. 4 pawns against a bishop. The FIDE World Rapid has begun, and I'm so glad Peter Leko is one of the commentators. In this game, in round 5, between Dominguez and Giri, he shares his insights, and also coining a new term called the phantom variation. Have any of you guys heard of this? Well, let's see what this is about. The game begins as a Najdorf. Let's quickly flick through the moves. e4, c5, knight f3, d6. We get your open Sicilian, knight f6 with your a6. Here we go, Najdorf. Dominguez goes for bishop e3. e5, knight b3, bishop e6, f3. We have the English attack, and now h5. The idea is just to stop g4. Now let's flick through the opening moves quickly to get to the middle game, which is just full of content. Incredible. Knight d5 played, and now bishop takes d5. First question, why not just go knight d5 with bishop f5? It's because after bishop d3, this is a possible way to play, but there is an unnecessary pawn on h5. It should be on h7. This is a different line, and we will not look at this to keep the video shorter. Knight d5 played. Let's get rid of this dangerous knight, or else bishop b6 is possible. So bishop takes d5, e d5, and now knight d7, queen d2, g6. Ask yourself, the pawn on d5, is this a strength or a weakness? You decide. White does not have pressure on d6 anymore because the d file is shut, but he has more space and the bishop pair. Castle, bishop g7 was played. Now, knight b6, we will not look at this, however, Peter Leko did mention something interesting. If you're curious about this line, white has the chance to sack the d5 pawn, because black's pieces will be not coordinated so well after king b1. If you go knight b d5, you could play knight f d5, but we won't look at this, keeping the video shorter. Bishop g5, bishop e7, and now just too many possibilities for white. White will go g3, and f4 is coming just to open the center. Bishop can go to g2 to h3, kick the knight away with c4. Knight can go to a5 to put pressure on b7. There's so many possibilities. Black could play castle and then f4. It just looks so dangerous, this guy. You're just going to attack it. There's going to be pressure here, here as well. In my opinion, it is not worth playing chess in this way. So do not take on d5 in a practical sense. Castle, bishop g7, king b1, queen c7. Bishop e2, not wasting time to go h3. Then to go g3 or g4, and then f4. Just going bishop e2 straight away. But it gives black the e4 square. Castle, and now g4. Rook c8, rook c1, defending because knight takes d5 is a threat. If you play g5, it does look like knight d5 works out. Queen d5, check, and then e2 is the bishop that drops. So you cannot do this, so rook c1 played by Dominguez, and now h takes g4. The beginning of the excellent commentary, the excellent insight by Peter Leko. Now my first question is, why not? Let's continue on the queen side with an attack, a5. Planning a4, now g5, knight e8, a4. This is a nice way for white to play. Notice a key strategy in this variation is white has not committed the pawn to c4. So the bishop on e2 has a chance to plant itself into the black position, into the black queen side with bishop e5. This is a really good blockading idea, and I think it gives white a nice position. Perhaps an advantage, queen d8, planning knight c7, knight a6, knight c5, a long journey with this knight on e8, bishop b5, knight c7, c4. White has a lot of space. Perhaps Giri feared this type of structure, so he did take on g4, giving black the e4 square. We will see this soon. If you take, then after cb5, I think white has a great chance on the queen side. Rook c2, there's pressure on a5. Bishop on e3 controls b6. The game goes on. Now after rook c1, here we go, h takes g4. In comes Peter Leko with his incredible insights. F takes g4, a5, g5. Leko has analysed this before and he created a new term in the commentary. He called this the phantom variation. This is a line in which you have analysed many years ago, but you are not sure if you will ever see it on the chessboard. Really cool term, because phantom means ghost, and will you actually ever see it materialize? You've analysed many variations over the course of your chess career, and Leko coined this term. If you've heard of this term, then leave a comment below. g5 and now a4. Wow, this is the beginning of the phantom variation of the Najdorf. a4. It looks like a blunder because you take on f6 and then you're attacking the bishop on a g7. But this is the idea. Knight takes f6. Wow. This knight is coming to e4. The knight on b3 is useless. Where on earth is it going to go? That's why in the real game, h4 was played by Dominguez. Can you blame white for not moving the worst knight in the world? No. How does it become the worst knight in the world? It just goes back. You might as well not exist, really. Black is down a piece. But how to continue? Let's keep throwing the merchandise, if you want, on the queen side, a3. Rook on a8 is about to be active. The knight will come to e4. Now, if you play a move like knight b3, which makes sense, you're bringing the knight from hell back into the game. A takes b2, and black is crashing through all of a sudden, despite being a piece down. A takes b2, king takes, and now watch how quickly the bishop on g7 gets into the game. Knight e4, queen moves, let's say to d3, and knight c3, threatening rook takes a2 mate. You stop this and e4. Well, that was quick. Queen d2, and you could play knight takes e2, discover check, but what a shot coming up. Rook takes a3, boom, thank you very much. Because after king takes a3, if you don't do anything, rook a2 is mate, so if you take the guy, rook a8 check, and it's mate on any square. King b4, rook a4 is your mate. If you hide on b2, rook a2, h4 played, Dominguez did not retreat the knight. Take, take, and queen d7. How to assess this position, since the smoke has cleared a little bit, even though the middle game has just begun. White's king feels safer. 3 pawns in front, the bishop pair, and white has the chance to put the rooks on the f, g, or the h file. It looks easy for white to play, so I would pick white. Queen is coming to f5, so let's put a stop to that with rook f1. Knight e4, queen tucks back, and now queen c7. f5 is possible. It does look a bit risky with rook g1, so let's keep this video shorter. Queen c7 has the point to come into c2, so let's go bishop d3, attack and defend the square. Knight to c5 played, which turns out to be a bad move. A better move is knight f6, which looks very unusual. You are moving the knight back and the f pawn is not on f5 yet, so it's so difficult to play this move. You attack d5 as well. If you go bishop g5, knight can go to h5 and black might be okay. It could go to f4 just to sacrifice itself. At the moment it is so useful on h5 because it's blocking the h pawn going forward, and also black has queen a5 next, offering a trade of queens, and then I think black is doing okay in the ending. Bishop d3, knight c5 played, dangerous knight, let's take it off, and queen e4 played. Now rook takes f7 is possible. You can just crash through. King takes, queen e4. Perhaps Dominguez wasn't sure what this would lead to. King e7, queen takes g6, bishop f6, with rook g8, king d8, getting out the way, queen h7 check, king d8, bishop f5, threatening mate, bishop e7, and now maybe a move like a3 or rook f1, something. So it's still not really clear how white can continue, and also how black could get out. So back to the game, queen e4, f5 played, and now rook takes f5. Yeah, queen e4 is really inviting f5. Now after this, yeah, only move, rook takes f5, here we go. and g takes f5 looks like the only move, but in this position Anish missed the brilliant counter sack. You sack a rook, I will sack a rook as well. Wow. Rook takes a2, this works. King takes a2 is losing, because now after take, well, what is the difference? White's king is on the a file, but it looks like white is just crashing through anyway. Perhaps this is why Anish didn't do it. Queen e6, queen h7 with rook f1. This is my first question. Is white not just crashing through? No, black is the one crashing through. And there is a scintillating tactic coming up. Rook a8 check first, king b1 forced, and now, well, queen e6, queen h7, once again, rook to f1. How on earth can black win this? It's because the bishop on g7 has been dormant. It is time to revitalize this bloody bishop. e4. Amazing that this works out. Imagine that there is no b2 pawn. Can you see the scintillating tactic coming up? Now queen takes e4. Notice here queen e6 check doesn't help because king h8, no more checks. So imagine if queen takes e4. Note, imagine no b2 pawn coming through. It is rook a1 check. Just imagine no b2 pawn. You take the guy, queen a3 check, mate in 3. Thank you very much. What a way to have ended this game. However, in the real game, rook takes f5 played, g takes, and now queen takes f5. Very dangerous, because rook takes a2 now doesn't work because white can go queen h7, rook f1. He doesn't need to take the rook. That's your difference. Rook c7, rook f1, threatening mate in 1. Why not? Cut the black king off the f file. Bishop f8, queen g6 check, king h8 now. If rook g7, we can check, and then we need another piece to check on this e6 g8 diagonal. So let's go bishop f5 and we can achieve this. Black has no attack on the queen side. Rook e8, we can check the guy, take, check is the move to take the bishop on f8. Because we wanted to take the bishop on f8, but with the queen, not the rook. Queen g6 check, king h8 check, and now check. Dominguez missed the idea of now going bishop f5, winning immediately. Now what happens if queen d5 is queen g6 check and then bishop e6? Just switching the moves around and he is able to win quicker. So queen g6 first and then rook g1, and eventually Dominguez won this. Let's have a look at the rest. You've got to give up the queen because queen g8 is mate. You can't move the bishop anywhere, and if you don't do anything then queen g8 is your checkmate. So you got to give up the queen, take bishop h6, bishop c4, rook g8, queen in, and we're good. Rook d7, bishop there, a4, give your king room, drop it back, threaten mate on h7, so you have to block. Queen b4, rook f4, take this guy, h pawn falls, queen e7, e4, bring that bishop in the game. White is going to just go d6, d7 anyway. So it's just a distraction. e4, take it, rook h2, block it with the bishop, rook c8, king b1, and Anish decided to go for this take. Well, it's 4 pawns against the bishop, so this should be completely winning. King g8, king d3, just march him down really. King c4, Dominguez is being a bit precise, get the king to b6 and it's all over. We'll see this soon. So now, why not just b4? You've got 4 pawns, so let's move them. King e7, b5, king d7, and now b4. Look at this. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. 4 pawns against a bishop. King c7, and now just be a bit accurate, king c4. You didn't need to move the other b pawn. It's because b6 is now with a check and the king goes to b5. So I like the accuracy from Dominguez, straight till the end. Move the bishop, check, and we come in. That was the purpose. Bishop e7 check, and now king there, and we're good. We can go check, d6, it's all over. King c4, king e7, a6, and now king there, king to b6 next. With a7, and then we're good. Resigning, because if you go king d6, you can go a7. Even king b7 if you want to rub it in. If you enjoyed the show, why not like the video and subscribe to the channel at the same time? Plus hit that bell to get notified each time I release a new video. Check out one video here and another video over here.